Hi there, a crisp January welcome from Teller Time. Charlie and I are bundled up and broadcasting from our new home base, the Immer building, tucked right behind the Woodland Park Library next to the gift store. It's a cozy little hub with big community heart, proudly run by our sponsors at the Youth Past Historical Society. Speaking of the Historical Society, we've got a couple guests today who know Teller County's past like most people know their backyards. We have Fredi Beck and her brother Eric in the building. Yes, that Fredi Beck, the human encyclopedia of Teller County. She's the only person who can walk into a room, trip over a chair, and somehow turn it into a story about a 1904 saloon brawl. She's Teller County's very own historical tornado, spinning the facts, dates, and local lore with the enthusiasm of someone who has definitely read every plaque in the county twice. So settle in, sit back, and just relax. Let the January chill stay outside while we warm things up with a little history, a little chaos, and a whole lot of Fredi and Eric. This is Teller Time, and class is now in session. Welcome, Fredi and Eric.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, there we go. Give them a good welcome.
Thank
Yeah.
you for having us.
Yeah, no, it's great. I saw you. We last was at the patron lunch, which was last Saturday, right?
Yes, it was.
And so that was fun too. That was a good one.
Great event.
I loved it, and seemed like a lot of other people did too. No, and we have a few questions. We want to learn more about your heritage, basically. You know, your grandparents, your parents on this ranch, because one of the highlights of the Dude Ranch, we did it, that Dude Ranch documentary was, of course, the Hermann Ranch. And that's where it gets interesting because I found doing that piece in there, I didn't know there was more than one,
Yeah.
I mean, there was two locations for the ranches. So starting off with, especially your grandparents, on the Dude Ranch. Can you tell us a little more about where it was, how many acres, how big it was, and how it evolved? Yeah.
Sure. Let me give you a little bit of background
Yes.
of my grandparents.
Yes.
Frida and Lee Hermann both immigrated from Russia when they were little. They both came over on the ship in 1903.
Wow.
They both landed in New York City. Both became lawyers,
Yeah.
which back then was unusual for a woman. They became lawyers. But somewhere after they met each other and got married, they discovered that they really, really wanted to work with kids. But they also wanted to move out west. So
Yeah.
they began coming out west a little at a time in the 30s,
Yeah.
looking for land. Not realizing that they were going to kind of establish a dynasty out here. So they did. They settled in West Cliff first at a
Right.
ranch there, and then they moved up here to the
didn't
Woodland
know
Park
that.
area. Yep.
Wow.
Another ranch. They started with one ranch, which was the one that was out on Rampart, and it was. Am I right?
No, it was
That's the other one, the one out on.
one on US 24.
Fact checker, Eric.
Sorry. He's younger than me. He remembers more
Wow.
things than I do.
And that was 1937.
How cool.
How cool.
Well, so they came from West Cliff, right? And came there. I mean, and they were both lawyers. So did they keep practicing law once they got out here?
They did. They did.
Huh.
They did, and they weren't out here full time at first. They would go back and forth to New York, because my dad was born in New York. He
Okay.
always said he was a Colorado native, but he was not. Pretty close.
Well, I will tell you that that's one of the things I did find fascinating was both of them be attorneys coming out here. And yes, the kid thing where they got more involved with that, but their timing of developing the ranch or ranches or whatever was perfect because from what I learned through that whole thing about dude ranches back in that era, it was popular across the country. In other words, people come from Chicago, Philadelphia, anywhere to be a cowboy, to experience how it was to be a cowboy. And your folks kept that legacy going for a long time.
Yep.
So one of the questions I know we had that I've had another listener had asked me to ask you was, how many guests would you have at each ranch? And there were two, right?
There were two. There was the Quarter Circle H Ranch, which was the girls' ranch, and the Silver Spur Ranch, which was the boys.
Right.
And eventually, the Silver Spur was the one that's out on Highway 24.
Okay.
Buildings are still standing there. It's not our ranch anymore, but the buildings are still there and the land. And then the other ranch was out on Rampart Range Road.
Yeah.
And those buildings are still standing as well.
Wow.
Normally, they averaged about 60 youth at a time at each one of the ranches. And, they had different lengths of time that a student or a kid could come out from back east. They could stay for a 4-week session or a 6-week session, even an 8-week session, so they could stay all summer.
What would they do?
I didn't know that part.
What would they do on the ranches?
Tell them some of the activities.
They had lots of Western activities. They each got their own horse for the entire summer, almost every year. They also had regular athletics. There was basketball and baseball and volleyball, but they learned how to go on pack trips up on Pikes Peak sometimes just on the Rampart Range that way, and they learned how to be a cowboy or a cowgirl.
Yeah.
And
They
So
had,
did they
had
did-
archery classes and all kinds of things
That's
that,
awesome.
that the West offered that they couldn't get back in Chicago or New York or Dallas, which is where most of our kids came from.
Yeah, so, I mean, to have their own horse. So you're saying they had 60 horses at each ranch?
Absolutely, because that's something that the kids needed to experience as well, was how you actually run a cattle ranch. And that was our business in the winter. We, still had the cattle, but the kids got to learn. They got to watch, the branding and the
grading and all that fun stuff that you do with
Absolutely.
And so the cattle. I'm trying to visualize. Okay, so to be a guest, what did something like that cost per person? Do you know?
Just looking at some of the old brochures, and I don't know, what was it, $500
for the summer
to come spend the whole summer out there. So that included everything: your room, your board,
that's awesome. Yeah,
insurance coverage.
It would almost be the equivalent of like going to Hawaii. I mean, this present day, spending a time at a resort somewhere.
That's one night.
I think that's a lot too. I mean, for then.
For that time.
It was.
I remember one time that my dad told me that they used to go down to Colorado Springs. They did banking down there, and my grandfather would get a loan to start the year out from Colorado Springs National Bank, which is what it was then. And then when they recruited all the kids and they came and they got paid, they paid back
the loan
the same year or at the end of the year. And then it kept them going for the following year. And I don't know about savings or anything like that, but it took care of everything.
Interesting.
And during the winter, when the ranches were shut down, my dad and my grandfather would travel back east. They'd go to Chicago, they'd go to New York, they'd go to Dallas, and they would do recruiting, much like Blue Mountain Ranch does now.
Sure.
Susie and her group.
Yep.
Same thing the Sanborn Ranch does. They have to recruit, and most of the kids are not from local because they want that experience of coming out west. Being a cowboy or a cowgirl.
There was one section in our documentary. This one lady worked at the Paradise. She moved from, I think it was New Jersey or something. But we actually had an interview with her on film. You might have caught it if you've seen that. You remember, I wanted to marry a cowboy. That was the reason she came here, was to do that. You've had similar experience?
Yeah.
Well, that's what my mom did. That's not why she came out here, but she came out in a couple of summers in a row and stayed at Paradise Ranch.
From Chicago.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's where she met my father, at one of the dances.
See, I don't remember seeing that, but that makes sense. Yeah.
So,
Wow.
she had that illusion, the handsome, dashing cowboy
Yeah.
and the exotic life out on a ranch.
Yeah.
Little did she know it was not exotic.
It's a lot of
It
work.
was a lot of work. It was hard work, and
Yeah.
a lot of the time she was by herself. Once the kids started coming, all winter, Dad's out recruiting.
Wow.
Mom's home, electricity goes out, 2 toddlers. I mean, it was a rough life.
Yeah.
So I wonder what it would cost to revive the camp, revive the whole thing in this day and age. You ever thought about, to get it open again, whether the barn needs refurbishing or the land or something? What kind of cost would that be?
That's a really hard one, Tom.
Yeah, I know.
Because, first of all, it was the liability insurance that began to
Okay.
loom over the cost of everything
Yeah,
else.
wow.
I mean,
Like today.
we had the land, we had the buildings, we could get the kids, and we had our staff, the cowboys and counselors that came back every single year. But the insurance was a tough one because
Right.
of liability. So after my grandfather got ill in the late 50s, early 60s, Dad and Mom opened up Pikes Peak Youth Ranch, where the boys' ranch was, out on 24. And we ran the ranch ourselves for 2 years, maybe 3. It was so tough.
Yeah.
It was just really hard. By then, I mean, that's 1963 is the last year, I think, that we ran the ranch. And those are the years I remember the most, because I
Oh,
was,
yeah. Well, you're older.
5
Yeah.
or 6.
Yeah.
And, but it's still, and most of our ranchers that year were my cousins, friends' kids, trying to start that business after it had been closed down for
Right.
a while was tough. So, Tom, to your question, it would, I can't even begin
Yeah.
to think what it would cost. And so many of the buildings are gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
The original buildings, a lot of them burned down during those years from the 40s, all
Right.
the way through the
I
50s.
remember that, yeah.
And so rebuilding those and making them up to code and all that stuff would
Right.
be millions of dollars, I would think.
Oh, yeah.
So you said on 24 in Rampart. Can you give me a little bit more in case people want to take a drive-by and see exactly what we're talking about? Is there more specifics on the address or
Well-
a sign or anything that we can look for?
The ranch that's out on Rampart, Range Road, is maybe a mile after Kelly Road crosses Rampart. You just keep going another mile and begin looking to your left, and the main house and several of the outbuildings are still there.
Okay.
The last thing that building was Williams
Right.
Furniture.
Right.
Oh, okay.
The big log furniture people, and the Williams family. still
Beautiful
owns it.
place,
It's
too.
Absolutely
Beautiful.
gorgeous.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Well, I think originally, although it's all before my time, but where the schools are, the high school, where Merritt Academy is, that was all part of the ranch. My
Yeah.
grandparents sold the land to the school district, so they owned where Fort Sedge Park is, all the way up, and then both sides all the way up to the fork in the road at one time.
That is quite a bit. That's why, Steve actually.
I think it was like 1,300 acres.
Yeah, over
1,400
there.
acres.
Wow. Wow.
And then our land on Highway 24, there's an old barn as you come down Bluebird Hill and you look to your left. The old, we called it the Parmley barn. It's the Moore barn, and from there over was our ranch, and the Johnstons.
I was just going to ask you, was that part of Johnson?
Glenn Johnston
Yeah.
and his wife Juanita, owned all of the land around us, along with his partner Al Hagedorn. I know these names don't mean anything
No,
unless
I'm-
you're from here, but
I'm hearing
Yeah.
well what my wife Peggy's because she's mentioned those
She would know that. Yep.
some of
Yep.
that yeah
It's just past the PB&J Ranch.
right
And Double Eagle, the owner of Double Eagle, owns all that property around
and,
where
and so that
Right
goes
on
all
the
the way over by Edlow. I mean
Yes.
all the way I mean
all the way up to Catamount open space.
Yes.
It's adjacent to that. So if
What-
you own that land, you could go there and then go on and become public property. So or public.
and that's an incredible view of Pikes Peak right there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And the elk run all over the place over there. It's just
yeah, and
stunning.
we're living in the original house that my grandfather built for my mom and dad in 1956, which is across Highway 24 from the boys' ranch. And my husband and I and my brother are living in that original house. It's been updated a little bit. Yeah, we have the perfect shot of Pikes Peak.
Oh, yeah.
And the elk, always.
Oh, God, that's
Always,
great.
Yeah.
Well, so this was able to sustain itself up till in the 60s, and it was sold off? Is that what happened?
Yeah, well, when my grandfather was diagnosed with Parkinson's in the late 50s, and at that point became unable to do this. And so we closed the ranch for a little bit.
Yeah.
While they took him back to New York for surgery. Back then, there wasn't a lot you could do for Parkinson's.
Oh, no.
So he had brain surgery, and that did not help, and became very debilitated. So then my mom and dad opened up the ranch then and did that, like I said, for 2 or 3 years. But it wasn't sustainable at that point. It was just too much for just 2 people to do.
I can't imagine.
And, you know, when the ranch was first established, we would have campers come every single summer till they were grown up. And then sometimes they'd come and work for the ranch.
Really?
In the summers, too. And we had counselors who eventually became professors at CSU.
Oh.
One of our famous campers was Dee Dee Khan, you know, from Greece.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
Dee Dee spent several summers with us, and because her parents were good friends of my grandparents.
But
Yeah. No, go.
all right, thanks. So it sounds like therapy kind of sort of was what the message was, having kids come out there and do some types of therapy, so to speak, horse therapy, animal therapy, before it was.
Before that's what it was called.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of it was that the kids that came out, they were rich
Yes.
Easterners or
Yes.
Texans whose parents didn't know what the heck to do with them during the summer. And so, yeah, they'd come out and stay with us, and kids who had behavioral issues snapped right out of it as soon as they were assigned a horse.
Yeah.
And they had things that, they knew they were going to do every day, events and activities they'd never done before. But Tom, that's a good...
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you changed a lot of lives unknowingly or maybe knowingly, and that's, so you might have set the ball rolling for a lot of these people who are now, very, well-to-do or very well educated, and hopefully that trickles down to their sons and everything. So yeah, you probably started a therapy going on before, what it is
Right.
today. So you did.
We
Yeah.
had 60 therapy horses every
There you
time.
go.
Well,
amazing.
to emphasize that point that you made, when I was growing up and the ranches were closed and I was going to school and living with my parents, and Fredi was off to college, and even before that, we'd have people stop by to drive down the road. Is this the Herman place? Well, my
Really?
parents went here, or I went here as a kid. It happened dozens of times,
Okay.
all year long for
Wow.
decades. They just loved it, and it changed their lives,
Of
and
course,
they loved the experience.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And my dad remembered all of them.
You really?
Yes.
Dad never forgot a
Yeah.
face.
That's
They would knock
incredible.
on the door, and my mom would answer, Mrs. Herman, do you remember me? Okay, she'd seen him when they were 10
Yeah,
or 11,
yeah.
and now they're 30 or 40 or 50. But
Wow.
it was always a real kick for my folks to have the kids come back and say, we remember this.
Yeah.
Tough, right? Something like that.
We had cooks. We had a huge dining hall at
That's
both
right.
ranches. We had cooks we had one family, probably the first black family in Woodland Park ever, the Butlers, who lived in Denver, but they came down every summer, the whole family.
Is that right?
The father, the mother, and all the kids. And they did the cooking at one of the ranches.
Man.
And then we had these 2 little old ladies, Rosie and Ida, who were our cooks at the girls' ranch for years and years and years.
See?
They were part of that family feeling. They came back every summer.
Oh, man.
And one of my fondest memories, and I don't know why I remember it, because I must have been maybe 4 or 5 is all, at the boys' ranch out on 24. My birthday's in July, so camp was always in session. And on my birthday, somebody would get on the intercom up in the office, and all the boys, all 60 of them, would sing "Happy Birthday" to Fredi. That's one of the memories that I have. That
Oh, my gosh.
I'm so glad I remember that.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I know on some of the pack trips that they take the kids up on Pikes Peak for several days in a row.
Yeah.
They did the cookouts. They brought
That's where I was
butchered
going.
the cows, so they had steaks and potatoes, had like the Flying W Ranch does now, but up, not covered wagons or anything like that. But up on Pikes Peak, Raspberry Mountain.
Just the idea of eating out up by Pikes Peak
yeah.
and having that great food, my gosh. I don't know that any of the existing ranches, I know there's the Triple B and the other one you mentioned, I don't know if they do anything. I know there's some outback stuff that used to be called the M Lazy Sea out there past Lake George.
Yep.
They used to take people on pack trips out that way, but I don't
know if anybody does those
I'm
anymore.
not sure either.
The
But
liability on those would be horrendous.
well, that's true.
I can only imagine. Yeah, it's just what is it now?
But a great experience.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
kidding me, man?
So how many years was the ranch going?
Overall, I guess.
Well, the first one in West.
in Westcliff was in the 30s.
Okay.
No, it was actually 1927,
Okay.
which is, our dad was conceived in Westcliff and born in Brooklyn.
Okay.
He was the first one to always tell us that. He hated that. He came back out when they were 6 months old. But they had that one for 10 years, I believe, because it was
Okay.
27, 37, they bought the one on 24, and then 47, they bought the El Tejas Resort, which is the one on Rampart Range Road.
So a lot of kids and a
25
lot
plus
of,
years,
Yeah.
so.
25 times basically you're saying almost
Yeah.
like 50 or 60 each time. I can't do that math in my head.
Lots of kids.
But that's good. That's God only knows, what they've turned into since you started this whole camp and everything.
Crossing our fingers
Of
that
course.
all came out
There you
really
go.
well.
This is one of the reasons, honestly, that Fredi is such a valuable person on our board because of that history. And you and your brother both. Actually, why aren't you on our board? I'm just wondering. I mean, would you entertain it?
I've thought about
Yeah.
it. Depends on how long I'm here in the
Okay.
area. But yeah.
Well, don't
And
be
I like
surprised.
participating in everything that the.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, we always
Historic
drag
Society
him to
does.
help.
Yeah.
I mean, I spent quite a bit of time. The films that we had from the ranch that belonged to my folks, I'm the one that had, with Larry Black's help,
Yes.
had them digitized, and 90% of the films in the video and the documentary is all from our ranch.
Right.
And it was used on the other ranches too, except for some stills. And
Oh, I
stuff.
didn't
So-
know that.
No, well, that's fine. I mean, I signed off and we
Okay.
gave the okay to do that.
Okay.
Otherwise, it would miss it a lot. So, majority of that is my dad's, and a lot of them, when they're branding, a lot
Yes.
of the scenes in there. That's my dad. My grandpa's there,
It's
and then all the ranchers that came every year,
yeah.
and then became counselors, and then cowboys that worked the ranch.
Oh, I know.
Went over and over again.
It's extraordinary footage that you provided. Oh, hell yeah, that was just awesome. Well, this is really cool. I don't know. Do you have any other?
Oh yeah. What classifies someone as a cowboy?
Is this part of your lightning?
No, this just came to my mind because I'm kind of curious. Cowboys and cowgirls.
Well, my dad always considered himself a cowboy. I mean, he was
Okay.
born and raised with ranching, branding, riding, all of that. In today's society, what classifies you as a cowboy? Sometimes they think it's the clothes,
Yes.
Yeah.
the boots
Yep.
and the hats.
Yep.
And living where we live here in Woodland Park, and having both my brothers and I, born and raised here. When we were little and we were going to school, we had the cowboys, the ranchers. They were not farmers. You did not call ranchers farmers. And then we had some that were farmers, and then we had, the town kids.
Yeah.
And you were a cowboy if you wore blue jeans with the skull mark on the
That's
back
right.
pocket,
Right hip. Okay. Right butt.
and the cowboy hat and the
Yeah.
scuffed up, worn out boots.
All right.
You didn't necessarily have to have a horse or
No.
a cow of your own to be considered a cowboy.
And then a 22 and the gun
Yeah,
rack and
that's
the
Yeah.
pickup,
That's right.
which was okay then. I wouldn't worry about.
yeah, the
That's
parking
right.
lot at
Yeah.
school was full of trucks with
Oh,
rifles in their gun rack.
I know. I remember seeing that.
All right.
Now,
Well, that was quite a history lesson in Teller County, but class isn't over yet.
Okay.
We're going to move on to some light-hearted, funny questions. All right. So our first one is going to be if you could change or correct or update one historical detail on a local sign, what would it be? I know that's a loaded question.
On a local sign?
Yeah.
Like,
Whatever you want to do. Yeah.
Like the "Welcome to Woodland Park,
Sure.
City Above the Clouds."
Yeah.
That kind.
yeah.
I don't.
You
You know
know-
what? The mural that's on the outside of the cultural center. Larry Black's there. Mary
Yeah.
Jo.
Yep.
Burt
is there.
Bergstrom,
Burt
yeah.
Bergstrom is there.
Yep.
But there were a lot of other
Right.
people who had history in this town.
I was told that
and
too.
they're missing. You
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
and I'm not talking about our family. I'm talking
Right.
about other people, like the first doctor that was ever up here, or the first nurse, Alberta
Alberta.
Burns.
She
be up
should
there.
be on
the
there.
First and only nurse for years and years. And
She'll be
years.
in our next documentary.
I'm
There you
hoping
go.
so.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
wonderful.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, before you,
Yeah.
there's one I have to say. You asked about a sign, and there was one time a mention of an astronaut.
Yeah.
Was in Woodland
As you come into Woodland Park on the right-hand
Well,
side.
something that I overheard with the Hayes girls and all them folks, which is an old time family back here. One of them happens to be my wife. Anyway, they talked about that's not right. Apparently, there's something about that astronaut that really bugged them that I don't think was a real, or it was an original thing. Something I can't.
I don't think it's up there anymore, is it?
Well, no, it's not, and I think that could be the reason because it was not quite accurate somehow.
I mean, I knew him remember him as an astronaut, but I never knew that name in the Woodland Park area
See, that's
growing
what
up or anything. So.
that's
I
what.
don't even know who you're talking
That's-
about. So
Well, that's what they were saying. You know,
Yeah.
I think it was Pat and Carol. You know, I heard them at a dinner one
Sure.
time. Anyway, yeah, they were like,
Interesting.
"What astronaut?"
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
What's a moment in Teller County that deserves more attention than it gets? Either past or present history.
I'm going to say the Ute Trail Stampede
Yeah.
every year.
The rodeo.
The rodeo.
And the parade.
Which was, the rodeo was as big as the one in Colorado
Pikes
Springs.
Peak or bust.
It had
Yeah.
the Professional Cowboys Association associated with it. The Cowboys were the ones that went all over the country. And
Yeah.
it was big every year, and it kind of gradually went away. And
Yeah.
I would say that. I grew up going to that every year. I rode in the parade when I was little. My daughter rode in the parade with my dad.
My daughter
Yes,
rode in
yeah,
the parade
yeah.
with her,
Is that right?
her grandpa.
Yeah, up and
Yeah.
down Main Street. A lot of good memories there. And there, there's the cowboy
Yeah,
Right.
influence.
influence
Yes.
in the town. And Burke Bergstrom, because it was Bergstrom Marine.
Right. Okay. What's the most unexpected thing you've ever found while researching local history? Uh-oh.
She has something in mind, don't you?
Well, we have pictures from the ranch. Every year they do a group picture at the boys' ranch and the girls' ranch. All the cowgirls and cowboys and all the counselors and my grandpa and grandma, my mom and dad. There was, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I will.
Hey, go ahead.
In 1952, my dad got married, and in 1953, in the pictures, there's a little boy on his wife's lap. And then in 1950, well, I'm off by a couple of years, because in 1954 I was born, and so I'm sitting on my mom's lap next to my dad. So we have a half brother that we didn't know about till we were much older. And
I had that experience.
looking at pictures, we both thought, oh my God, why did I never notice? This is a different wife and a different baby. 2 years later, there's our mom and me.
Yeah, wow.
And we've met him and
Yeah.
in contact with him, and he's a wonderful guy.
He
Yeah.
is. But
Yeah.
that was
But that kind of crept
Researching.
in there
Yeah.
at a certain point,
Yeah.
and then kind of came and went. It sounds like. I know I had a similar
yeah.
experience myself. I think a lot of families in this country have had that.
Well,
know?
and they didn't talk about it.
No, they
You
didn't.
didn't mention. My mom would was mortified that we even found out, even though it
Yeah.
had nothing to do with her.
Yeah.
But those are the things you discover when you're looking
No,
through
and
archives.
back in that day, I was born the same year you were, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember that specifically. It was kind of a hush hush.
No.
We don't talk those things.
One of the things that surprised me is we found out my dad was in the Naval Reserve. No military in our background at all, except my mom's side. Her brothers all went to World War II, but we didn't know my dad was in the Naval Reserve. I don't know if he ever went anywhere where he went for training. He never talked about it.
We discovered that when we found his, when they discharge you,
Yeah.
honorable discharge from
Oh,
the
yeah.
Naval Reserve. We found the certificate.
It's funny. You learn things through
You do.
as time goes on. I mean, I never knew. I could talk about a lot of that similar stuff, but this isn't about me. It's about you guys. So go on. Go ahead,
So
Tom.
that sort of leads into this next question. When you're digging into archives, what's your quote unquote, this might get interesting moment? And I think you've already had a couple might get interesting moments, definitely with that. Anything else come to mind that really just made your eyebrows or things that made you go,
Something that's really
Interesting is one of the years our counselors, Jim and Louise Stitzel, were counselors at the ranch, and they got married. They became professors at CSU and both had
Wow.
a lifelong academic career. And last summer, their son owns the roundhouse, the turnaround train house in Victor.
Oh, is that right?
And he was doing tours for the Historical Society up there. And we got in touch with each other. And I see this is a kid, that I haven't seen since he was, 3 or 4. And that connection was still there because I wanted to send him pictures
That's
of his
awesome.
parents
Yeah.
in the group pictures at the ranch. And here he is. He still owns, land here but lives in Fort Collins, which is, where his parents were at CSU.
So is he part of the Victor Historical?
Sort of, yeah.
Society
He
or-
did the tours for them of the turnaround house. I'm trying to think. It's not the roundhouse.
It's the railroad
It is
station.
where the
Yeah,
train
I know
came
where
in
you're
and
talking.
turned
I know
around.
exactly. I love that little place too. That's
Yeah.
really awesome.
Oh, Victor.
I know, and that's one of the things. I'm glad you mentioned that because maybe we could use or hopefully go through him. We want to make more connections with like Cripple Creek. Yeah, we want to reach out to more of the historical museums and areas. Anyway,
Yeah, that's a good.
One of the things I wish for myself is not that I want to be 10 years older than I am, because it's bad enough being how old I am, but I wish I was born 10 years earlier so I could experience the ranch.
Yeah.
Oh, I know
And
what
that's
you
all its
mean.
heyday.
I bet.
In the late 50s, late 40s, early 50s,
Yeah.
I think that's when all the films were done, 47,
Yeah.
48.
Yeah.
And it was in its heyday, and that would have been so much
oh man,
work, but fun
yes,
to work on the ranch and be part of it. Like my dad grew up on it, and that was his backyard.
wow,
And then he ran it and owned it.
hopefully that's what we do through this podcast. Just get, telling people tidbits and bringing in people like yourselves to talk about it and get them to think, where's that information? And just sparking the interest of it. Because, even just me sitting here, listening to it, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, I would love to go back in time and just sort of...
reliving that kind of stuff is awesome because I got to be honest with you. One of the reasons I am even involved with the Historical Society and things like that, my fascination has always been that it's almost been like when there's trouble in the world, like it is now. It's a place to go in that, where it was so nice, so wonderful, and you don't have to keep that stuff going on in the forefront of your mind. It's an escape in a way, and that's what I love about this. Is
nicely said, Charlie.
And I have to give a plug to Woodland Park.
Do it.
Because since we both were born and raised here, we have watched the evolution of this town and of the people in this town, and there's a lot that has gone wrong
yes,
and a lot that has divided us, but it still is a place of beauty and of kind, helpful people.
right,
The food,
yeah,
the food pantries that everybody pitched in and did is a perfect example over the holidays
Yeah.
of no matter what the diverse
During the government shutdown, you're talking
during the
about?
shutdown, and
Yes.
people were going to go without food.
They all came together.
The Republicans, the Democrats, all of the churches,
Yeah.
all of the community things like the community
Sheriff's office,
partnership,
everybody.
the sheriff,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's what this is all about. Here
That's right.
is helping each other, in spite of the fact that we also
It's all kinds of,
pick on each other and call each other names and say things. But it's still home.
That's right.
And it's still a small town,
Right.
regardless of the fact that there's a whole lot of people here.
That's
Still got that small town feel.
You still have it, yes.
You know,
Yeah.
one of the things I'm proud of is the way they did the Christmas lights now.
Oh,
All
yeah.
through town. The city doing the ones in the median.
It's amazing.
The ones here at the cultural center. The ones there at the where
Lions Park?
Lions Park.
Yeah,
And lit up, and it's beautiful.
it is.
And I wish they keep them.
Leave them all
All
Yeah.
year round. I know.
We're looking for diversion. Diversion is always good. So I think I can probably help with that a little bit more.
Okay.
So, still stay in your seats because we've still got some more information to cover. But, I mean, just like, did you know Fredi knows so much about Teller County history, the archives call her when they forget something.
Ha
That's right.
We got to give you little drum rolls here, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Don't you have one of those?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's somewhere here I do.
Fredi doesn't need Google. Google needs Fredi.
Sorry about that.
Google, yeah. Fredi's the reason the UPass Historical Society keeps extra pens. Her knowledge tends to run them dry.
That is not true. Sorry, Tom.
All right. Well, that was my little diversion for Charlie and everyone here. But Fredi, would you or Eric like to add anything more about yourselves, stories, UPass Historical Society, your hours, times, website, or just anything else you'd like to add that maybe we haven't covered at least this episode? Because I'm sure we're going to have you come back
Oh,
for more.
Yeah.
We're intrinsically tied to the Historical Society, the UPass Historical Society, not just because I'm on the board, but because what the Historical Society is doing and trying to do is retain the flavor and retain the history
Right.
of this area. And, that's why I moved back here after 45 years of being gone. This is where I want to live
Yeah.
until I'm dead.
Yeah, yeah.
And that'll be the last time I move, is when they sprinkle my ashes.
I know.
All right. So this may be a history question. Yeah.
Eric?
I just wanted to add to tie the school district into it historically. We have reunions every year. There's an all-school reunion that's not as involved as it used to be. My class has one every 5 years, it seems now, and big ones every 10. Fredi organized hers. So the history and the camaraderie of the people that went to the classes is entrenched in the city and tied to historical things. It's not really the Historical Society thing. I just wanted to add my 2 cents to
That's
how
good.
proud I am to be from
Yeah.
Park High School.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So my Did You Know takes us to a Henry Blockhurst.
Brockhurst?
Brockhurst.
Rockhurst.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, okay. My spelling.
No, that was
RL.
okay.
Okay.
Isn't that one of the buildings here? Brockhurst?
Yes. It's right in History Park.
Okay. What can you tell us about?
That it's here in History Park.
Okay. To add to that, he was an early pioneer of Green Mountain Falls and the UPass,
Yeah.
and part of a group of early settlers who helped shape the community in the Divide UPass region. He was also part of the grassroots leadership that built the institutions still central to community life today. All right. So moving on from our history class, yes, I think we've got our history lesson in there. So I'm going to jump ship for a minute, and we're going to move to something called the Word of the Day.
Oh, boy.
Word of the Day: Monachopsis. Monachopsis.
And we've been watching lots of Jeopardy lately,
Yep.
and that doesn't help.
No, I have no clue.
Yeah.
I had never heard of that.
What
What
is
does it
it?
mean?
It is the subtle feeling of being out of place.
Oh. Well,
Monocopsis?
Yes.
That's how you say it?
Yes.
Ooh.
I have that feeling every time I go to the airport.
We have Toastmasters going on at 11 a.m. every Friday at the Woodland Park Library. Okay. Mueller State Park on February 7th is having a guided nature hike from 9:15 to 11:15. And on February 8th, that Sunday, they're learning about animal tracks and scat. So you can go out for a walk and learn about animal tracks and scat. It says scat.
Yeah.
Nice word.
Okay.
Scat, yes.
Okay, you're chuckling. What is scat?
You don't know what scat is.
Is it what comes out the other end?
Yeah.
Number 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That's right.
All right. Quite an article about the Woodland Park Library, technologically savvy. Okay, that was in just this recent paper this week. And Tim Miller was actually here a while ago talking about the library. So listen again to our podcast or go check out the library live in person. The Divide Library will have its grand opening on February 7th from 1 to 4 p.m. So we'd like to see everyone there. There'll be some, take a look inside. It's got some really interesting material in there, but yeah, it's a great library to have halfway between Woodland Park and Divide, Florissant, those areas. Teller County Sheriff Office is awarding a $500 scholarship to a graduate from the class of 2026.
Wow. Good for them.
Deadline for that is February 27th, 2026. Good news, and some more good news actually. The Kathleen mine has been cleared and is now open for business. So I've been wanting to get back in there. It is open and it's safe to go. So take a trip up there and see what it's all about. Teller County Regional Animal Shelter was selected as the recipient of the inaugural Bureau of Animal Protection Exemplary Service Award. Well, yes. What it does, it's the award. It acknowledges them and their assistance during animal cruelty investigations, animal removals, or surrenders. Stuff
It's
up
well
there.
deserved.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ice Festival is going on Cripple Creek from February 14th to February 26th. Thursday night starting at 6:30. On a personal note, some of you people may know him, but shout out to Bert and Sandy West. Bert's going through some major surgery right now. And not know him, send energy, send thoughts, send prayers, and keep this little quote in the back of your mind: no bad days.
That's right.
That's what it's all about. So you'll probably see a lot of them. Time with Tom, Charlie, Eric, and Miss Fredi. Heartfelt thanks to our guests, Fredi and Eric, for sharing their passion, knowledge, and stories of Teller County. And let's not forget the people who helped shape them. We're grateful you spent part of your day with us, and we're grateful to all the people who listen to us on Spotify, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Okay? Take care of each other out there, and we will catch you on the next Teller Time. Charlie?
Well, I've been looking forward to this specific interview for weeks because, I know so much of what you guys grew up with and how it was. I mean, you went to school, probably rode the bus with my wife or
with all of
them Hayes girls. So I personally have just gotten some really great warmth from how cool you guys are, and it was just really a lot of fun. And you were a cheerleader, right, Fredi?
Yeah.
In high school? I think Jean, Peggy's sister, was. Anyway, we're getting off into a whole other thing that nobody knows about. But what I'm just saying is, I was excited that this is happening. I'd love us on different ends of this that we weren't able to touch on yet. But thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yes.
You enlightened me definitely. So I'm going to close with this thought. Carry out a random act of kindness reward, safe in the knowledge that one day someone might do the same for you. That is Princess Diana.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Take care, folks.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.